Journey Together has kind of revived a lot of decks that we haven't seen for a little while, and the best kind of example of that is actually just the Future Hands deck. This deck was very, very popular in its inception when it first came out, but after that kind of fell away and died out, and now it's kind of back and better than ever, to be honest. Insert Back to the Future reference, but the main thing is that this card, the basic Miraidon, is incredibly strong. It kind of functions as a pseudo Petrunt, where like you can't go first with it, but when you go second, you're able to hit for really big damage against basics that are there. So think of somebody's Dreepy, a Charmander, a Badoo in the active on turn 1 for some reason. Whatever it's going to be there, you're able to go peak acceleration, hit for 40, which we're going to be able to even amp up to even higher numbers. You can even get up to over 100 damage. And then you get to take 2 basic energies from your deck and then put them to any future Pokemon. The future Pokemon of choice is going to be our Iron Hands EX because of the Amp You Very Much attack. This attack is broken, it always has been, but it's even stronger right now because we're in a format of a lot of low HP basics where, because a lot of people are trying to get to stage 2s or even evolve into like Zoroark, so they need Zorora. They have a lot of low HP basics that Amp You Much, or Amp You Very Much, is going to kind of just decimate and make really awkward prize trading situations, so it's very, very powerful. But the way we're going to make it even stronger is with Iron Crown EX because of its Cobalt Command ability, where attacks used by your future Pokemon except Iron Crown EX, so unfortunately it doesn't work on itself, do 20 more damage for to your opponent's active Pokemon. And so we can stack this up to 4 times potentially. And typically it'll only be 3, but in some cases we can even do all 4 onto the bench. And when that's happening, we're getting 80 extra damage, or 60 if we only have 3. But that brings our Iron Hands up to 180, which is very powerful, or even 200 if, again, we have all of them down. But then we're also going to be able to use the Future Booster Energy Capsule, boost that by another 20, so we get to do just a ton of damage and knock out things like Fezandipiti. If we have all the Iron Crowns down and an Ancient Booster Capsule, taking 3 prize cards off that, which is really nice. One of the other things that made this deck really strong is Heavy Baton. Before, because Jamming Tower was way more common, and it may become common again because of Gardevoir, but for right now it's not. And also the fact that the Lost Vacuum isn't in the game anymore. Both of those things together make Heavy Baton really, really strong. Because if we have an Iron Hands powered up and we have this attached, we essentially have a second Iron Hands powered up. And so we can just keep looping that, make it so even if we have to go Arm Press for a turn, we're always trading 3 prizes when, like, they'll knock out we go Arm Press, we bring something to half. They attack into us. If they knock us out, then, you know, no big deal. We bring in a new Iron Hands, get the knockout with the Amp You Very Much, take 3 prizes. If they don't knock us out, then we go Amp, take 3 prizes. So it just constantly puts this unbelievable pressure on. And we're also going to be able to be really annoying because we run 4 bosses orders and a Prime Catcher. So we're going to be picking our targets pretty much every time we want to attack, more or less. But yeah, that's going to be the list. So be sure to let me know what you think of the list and any changes that you would make. It's very, very straightforward, but it's very, very powerful. And yeah, we'll get into the games in a second. I did just want to clarify some information. I know that I got a lot of requests for Cinderace, but that's going to take me longer than I thought because that card is not in a very good position right now. It's very difficult to really utilize, and I want to actually build a list that works. So that list is on the back burner for right now, but I will get to it at some point when I can make a list that I actually feel is worth showing off. But yeah, outside of that, I just want to give a special shout out to the channel members before we get into the games. So thank you guys so much for that additional level of support. Really does go a long way. It means a lot. So thank you so much for that. For anybody who's interested in becoming a channel member, you know, no pressure, but if you want to, you will get access to videos a day early, as well as some exclusive content. We have our first pack opening video that we're ever doing on the channel. I had 2 ETBs for Journey Together, so I did those. That'll come out probably tomorrow, or at the same day this comes out publicly. It'll come out for channel members. And yeah, outside of that, for everybody else, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. It really helps out the channel, and it means a lot. We've been growing a lot, and the support on the channel has been great. So thank you guys all for that. And I will stop rambling and get into game number 1 in a second, and I'll see you guys there. Peace. Alright, we're into game number 1, and our opponent's going first, which works out for us. We do have our Miraidon available, which is really all we're looking for. We see Grookey, so we're up against a Festival Lead deck, I'm guessing. Yep. Interesting to see Festival Lead. I feel like that deck is not very good right now. But what's nice is, like, we have Arven. So we're going to be able to go, like, Generator down for the Iron Hands. Yeah, we'll have Research as well. So we'll go Arven first before Generator. We'll get ourselves the Future Booster Capsule and a Techno Radar. We can go Techno Radar on the other Miraidon. Grab ourselves double Crown for right now. Place these down. Go ahead and attach the energy. We miss on the Generator, which is a little unfortunate, but not that big of a deal. We get our 2 energy, and we knock out the Grookey. We get another energy. That's nice because we can attach that to the Iron Hands. And then it's unlikely that our Miraidon gets knocked out here. But if it doesn't, we could keep it in, just go Future Booster Capsule down, keep attacking. We see an Iono. That's actually fine with us because we were probably just going to end up going Research anyway. Where we get ourselves the Ancient Booster or the Prime Catcher. Honestly, Prime Catcher is really good because we can potentially get the Iron Hands powered up to an amp. And if that happens, that's really good for us. If our Miraidon gets knocked out, we bring Iron Crown in and then go Nest Ball for Fez. Because ideally, we just knock out Grookey here. They didn't knock us out, so that way we can just go and continue to attack into the Diplin. We'll Techno Radar to get rid of 1, to grab ourselves 1 more Crown and Hands. Place that down. And then from here, we can go Peak Acceleration again. Knocking that out, I'm going to take 1 Psychic Energy just to keep Electric Energies in the deck. So that way, for future generators, it's a little bit easier. We take another prize, because Miraidon is just powerful as a early game attacker. Again, if they make Goldeen here and attack into us, which they will be able to do because they have double Grookey down, or Thwacky rather, which is only a little bit annoying, but again, not the biggest deal in the world. Because they're very low HP. So the play now will really just become, they knock this out, we bring an Iron Crown, we go Prime Catcher, pull up, alright, we don't go Prime Catcher, never mind. Okay, we just go Boss's Orders instead. The only thing that's a little bit disappointing in this case is the fact that we lose out on our Heavy Baton, which is something we would have really liked to have. But between Generator and being able to attach return here, it shouldn't be that big of a deal. And they shouldn't have anything that will be able to KO us. I guess if they have the Stadium in play, they could. I'm surprised they haven't. Okay, I was going to say, I'm surprised they haven't played that down yet. In comes the other Thwacky. Did they play a supporter for the turn? Yeah, they played Iono. So there's another Diplin. Do the wave for 100. And we can put in the Iron Crown right now to absorb the other attack. We'll just attach the future booster capsule to it in order to be able to free retreat, because we want Heavy Baton on this anyway. We'll go Generator. We do get one hit. And I could boss for Thwacky, but I actually don't think it's necessary to do so. Knocking out the Diplin will put me in pretty much the exact same position. I'm gonna grab this. We'll retreat. Bring this in. Go amp you very much. Now, obviously, what we would have really preferred is finding a Heavy Baton. Our town store would help us do that, obviously. But this is still okay, because we can go Arven on the next turn in order to... we can go Arven on the next turn in order to find ourselves like another Electric Generator. And as long as we hit the Generator, then we just come in, go amp, get the KO. If we get Iono'd here again, it's a little annoying. Again, this is a situation where we really want the Heavy Baton onto this, and because that would just guarantee the win for us. But we have not been able to find one. I guess the play would have been to play our town store earlier that we did have. Just to prioritize setting it. There's a Iono, which again is a little annoying. Even more so because it just breaks the game. I love when PTCGO works. We'll go to 2 cards. We'll see what we get. There's a good chance that we end up with like a research or something. Well, we'll find out in a later date. Let's see, we used 3 Techno, 2 Gen. Cool, we got our research. Let's see, 130. The reality here is that they already used... We'll bring up the Iron Crown. They used 1 switch. I do want to go Prime Catcher, but it really doesn't matter at this point. I'm going to go Techno Radar for the Iron Crown just to pull it out of our deck. Then I'll go Research, mostly because I have to hit a Generator. I did not, which really sucks. But what I was able to do is hit the town store, so that at least gives me something to work with. I will retreat. Bring this in. We'll go town store for... We'll go Heavy Baton at this point, but it doesn't really matter. We'll go Arm Press. That will knock this out and bring us to a single prize, where we get another Boss's Orders. Again, not as relevant. But without the Max Belt and the Stadium available, they shouldn't be able to KO me even if they evolve here. So we don't have to worry about an Iono or anything like that because we're only on 1 prize. We do have to worry about a boss potentially onto this, but even then they would need... actually that's not true. They could go Defiance Band. Vitality Band wouldn't be enough, I don't think, because their max damage is 100. Weird they attached it to the Applin. Yeah, they would need Defiance Band Festival Grounds, which they should be able to just search. But maybe they're not running the Defiant, they're running Vitality. But it only does 10 more damage, so that's not going to be enough. And even if they're still missing a basic. Yeah, so they can't KO us here. They could boss the Iron Crown. They also still need their stadium for the turn as well. Which Iono is just going to break the game again, but I think we're fine no matter what happens here, because they need their stadium, but the fact that they go Iono means that they can't boss. They already used their search for the turn. So they have to get really lucky off searching the top 3. They do find it. That's crazy. Wow, not only do they find it, but they find another basic to boost the damage. But again, it's not going to be enough. They need to play a Defiance Band. I'm guessing they just don't because they play multiple Vitality. Had they played Defiance Band there, they would have been able to knock out the Iron Hands, and we would have been in a pretty rough position from there. I'm not sure. We'd have to find a way into Miraidon and get an energy on that in order to attack with. But yeah, very kind of close game that probably shouldn't have been. We needed to place a higher priority on making sure that we had the Iron Hands equipped with the Heavy Baton. Had we done that, then, you know, game over. But we just weren't able to accomplish that mission, and so that's what we now know we need to work on and put higher priority on game number 2. But that being said, we'll get into that in a moment, and I'll see you guys there. Peace. Alright, we're into game number 2, and our opponent will be going first. We do have to mulligan here, which is a little unfortunate. But honestly, it's fine. Opening the boss Iono is a little suboptimal. But we'll see what we get. Honestly, this is good. We get ourselves our Miraidon. We do need an energy, though. That's the only thing that definitely sucks a little bit. But hopefully we can Pokégear ourselves into a... like if we get like a research or something like that, like an Iono, we'll be able to more likely than not get ourselves into an energy, go peak acceleration, start powering up the Iron Hands. We can go Nest Ball for Crown, Town Store for Future Booster Capsule. One day our opponent will make a decision. Cool. It's Clefairy. That's actually pretty nice because that's a target we can boss and take 3 prizes on. You see an Artisan for a Pidgey. That's even better because that's a target we can amp for 3 as well. Alright, we get a Ancient Booster. We'll go Town Store. Nest Ball for a Crown. Place this down. Go Heavy Baton. We'll Town Store again to get ourselves the Future Booster Capsule. Place that down. Go Pokégear, where we do get the research we were looking for. That's fantastic. We research. Sucks to lose out on a boss, but honestly, not that big of a deal. We'll go Techno Radar, get rid of 1 energy, grab ourselves another Crown and a Hands. Go Hands down, go Crown. Then we can go Generator, where we do hit 2. That's nice, because now we do have 1 Hands automatically powered up. We place another energy down. We'll go for the 100 damage. Obviously, had we had like boss or something, that would be really nice. Or not like boss, but if we had a way to make sure that that damage was onto one of these, that's great. But in this case, it's fine. They still need time to make their Evos. And we'll be able to take 3 prize cards off the Lily's Clefairy. Like if we go Pokégear, find boss, then that's great. If they leave this in the active, because they don't have a way to retreat it or something, we can go to retreat our Miraidon, bring in Iron Hands, take the 3. So we're in a pretty good position. The early aggression from this deck is very, very powerful. They will be able to retreat, and they do have a rare candy in order to get themselves into either Pidgeot or the hydreigon. They do go Pidgeot. That's also very nice for us because, again, we can go Amp and hit for weakness and KO this. Ooh, they actually go hydreigon instead of Pidgeot. Why did they do that? I guess the idea is that they didn't want to go Pidgeot because of the fact that we'll be able to hit it for weakness. But if they went Pidgeot, they could have got hydreigon also. So, not sure I agree with that. We'll go Pokégear here. We do find ourselves the boss's orders. That's actually nice. Again, that would have been Pidgeot KO'd. We'll go retreat. Bring this in. Now there's an argument to go boss and arm press this immediately. Just to set up. But I don't think it's going to matter. So we'll go Town Store here. Again, this is just to thin our deck. We'll grab ourselves a Future Booster Capsule. And we'll go Amp You Very Much. Taking the 3 prizes. Making it nice and easy. There's another boss, an Arven and an Energy. I'm really not worried about them going Obsidian at all. If they go Crushing Headbutt for the 200, it doesn't matter what they discard. We really don't care. We'll still be doing the same play, going Arm Press. If they want to spread the damage with Obsidian, they will knock out the Miraidon, but it doesn't really do much to us in like the grand scheme of everything. We get another Electric Energy. We can throw that down onto that. Place these in. And then from here, we'll go Arven. Let's look, we do have a copy of Hands and a copy of Crown. So we'll grab Techno Radar and another Baton. We can go Techno Radar onto 1 copy of Boss at this point, because we only need the 1. We'll go Crown and Hands. And then from here, we'll go Arm Press for 220. They have to go Crushing Headbutt on the next attack. If they go Obsidian, it would not KO us. Actually, I lied. It would KO us. But since we have the other Iron Hands down, which is what we needed, the Heavy Baton will kind of bail us out. Because in comes the Obsidian for 260. Or 130, but that'll put us to 260. They knock out double Iron Hands, which gives them 4 prizes. I mean, that is a lot. But unfortunately for them, it's not enough. The mistake they made is that they put damage onto the Miraidon. Had they just gone onto the Iron Crown instead, they could have taken all the prize cards. Like we couldn't have played around the Obsidian. So it's funny. It's like they made the right choice in not making Pidgeot, because we would have just bossed that for 3 prizes. But then they also made the wrong choice by targeting the Miraidon. So we take our last 3 prizes and make it, again, a little closer than we might have wanted it to be. Our opponent kind of trolled a little bit in their Obsidian targets. They definitely threw. Had they gone onto the Iron Crown, then they would have taken all 6 prizes just like right there. Which is the power of Obsidian, to be honest. But yeah, that's going to be game number 2. Our opponent kind of threw. But again, you can only control so much. You have to worry about your play, and you know, there's only so much you can do about your opponents, right? But yeah, that's game number 2. We'll jump into the breakdown in a second, and I'll see you guys there. Peace. When going into our breakdown of future hands, or, you know, iron hands, I think this card is very, very good and very well positioned in our current metagame. I think it's really strong because, like I mentioned earlier in the video, the fact that a lot of stage 2 decks are kind of running all over the place, and also Badoo really slowing our format down, has made it so a lot of decks play way more slowly. There's a less reliance on rare candy, and also as kind of things move around in the meta, Iron Hands is kind of just put in a better position. I would say, starting at the top, the fun rating for this deck, I have it a 4 out of 5. The main reason why is I actually originally was putting it at like a 3, because I think it's that it is a very simplistic deck. There's not a lot of like thought that goes into it in terms of past your, you know, base levels of sequencing. But something that I did find really enjoyable through not only testing but also when recording is that because you're going second and you're using Miraidon 9 out of 10 times, you never have to care about Badoo. And that's really nice. Like, it's really refreshing to never really care about Badoo, because also once you're set up with Miraidon, your items don't mean as much. You're just going off researches or boss's orders or something like that. So not really having to worry about Badoo and getting to play the game of Pokemon is really enjoyable. And also being able to hit Badoo for 2 prizes with your Iron Hands is a ton of fun. So it's definitely very, very good, and I like it a lot. So that's why I gave it a 4 out of 5. Going into power, I think you have to give it a 4 out of 5. Your initial damage is not always the highest, but you're able to be really hyper aggro. And Iron Hands also has a position in the meta right now that's very, very good at exploiting the building strategies of a lot of decks. So right now we're seeing a large amount of Noctowl be put into different decks, and because of Noctowl being there, you always have a target that is able to be 2 prizes almost every single time with either a boss or a Prime Catcher. Once you have your Iron Hands set up, you make it very, very difficult for your opponent in that sense, and so just that alone gives me the 4 out of 5 rating. Now, yes, you're never going to be hitting for unbelievable numbers. It's going to be very hard to clear that 280. It's going to be very hard to clear the 310 when the Dracopult finally does get set up. But the main play there is that you're just arm pressing it once and then going for amp, taking 3 prizes. And that's if you didn't already take, you know, a couple prizes early by knocking out a Dreepy, or like if they go for a Dusknoir or something, then they're kind of already out of the game. So the power is 4 out of 5, but not because of the direct damage that you do, but how that damage kind of lines up in terms of prize taking, if that makes sense to everybody. And if I need to elaborate, feel free to ask me in the comments. Consistency, I'm giving this a 3.5 out of 5, mostly because of the fact that I think that getting into Miraidon is very, very easy. The deck does not struggle to do that, but if you are made to go first and you're now a turn or 2 behind where you want to be because you don't have that acceleration on turn 1 from your Miraidon and things like that, you can start to struggle. And so, you know, that might hurt you in a best of 3 format where, you know, your opponent gets to go first in game 1, then you beat them in game 2, but then they get to go first, or they have you go first again in game 3, then, you know, that can be a little rough for you in, you know, regular ladder climbing. It's a 50-50 shot on if you're going first or not. Now, most decks want to go first, and so you can kind of take advantage of that. But yeah, it's definitely can hurt you a little bit going first more than anything else. And then if for whatever reason your prizing turns out really bad, where like your Miraidons all get prized or something, that can definitely hurt you. And then the other element is that we are relying on electric generators to help ramp up our Iron Hands even faster. And so in that case, it can be a little bit risky because, again, you're playing on chance. But yeah, for the most part, I think it's very good. So, you know, we'll keep it there. Matchups, I have it at a 3 out of 5. This could go up or down. I just think that if you're up against a deck, let's say, you know, like Dragapult, and you're not able to take advantage of the early prize carding, like early prize taking, then you definitely can struggle because of those really high damage numbers that they're able to hit, where you're not really able to. They're going to be able to spread the damage around and be really frustrating. So if you don't get a lead, that matchup can be a little bit difficult. Decks that don't really care about having the like basics on the field for a long time can definitely be an issue, or decks that will kind of ignore you. So in the sense where a great example of this is the Buffalon engine with the Terapagos. If they don't play down Noctowls, which, yes, disrupts them, but if they're just playing, like, large Buffalon lines, then it can be a little bit difficult to actually get through things because they're negating the damage you're boosting, and then you're, like, playing at a slower rate. The Terapagos is going to be able to one-shot you, and if you're not able to keep up Iron Hands, it can be a little bit hard. So your matchups aren't terrible, but the matchups that are bad, but the matchups that are good are really good. And so that's why I'm putting it at a 3 out of 5. It just depends on what you hit, but right now abusing Noctowls is very good. I think it also, a lot of your matchups depend on the fact that like a lot of people aren't used to playing around Iron Hands anymore, so you can take very large advantage of that. But yeah, that's going to be my rating, guys. Be sure to let me know what you think, how you would rate the deck, and what you kind of think of the rating system. And yeah, I will see you guys all in the next video. Be sure to let me know which cards you want to see covered and what decks you want to see in the upcoming videos. And I will see you all in the next one. Thanks.